Hi, my name is Joel Jose, and I wanted to share my opinions about Project Spyn and the activities that we worked on. To start off, I've had some concerns initially. Um, the main reason being was Project Spyn was asking for a very long-term project, and it was to be worked with an unknown IDE for our team members, as well as unknown, I guess, materials, we would say, like the EV3 bricks and stuff like that. And even then, I didn't talk much to the team members, and team members didn't talk much like with each other, so we didn't really understand our strengths and weaknesses. So when we came together, it was sort of there's a large sense of uncertainty as to how to approach this, as well as what to do next. And so that kind of led us to the gathering requirements stage, and from there, it was actually I've learned that it was very important to ask questions, and the reason being is because the more questions we asked, the more specific we had to make our sort of requirements page, and the more we gained knowledge in the sense where we could understand functional and operational requirements that were needed for the project. It kind of created a connection with the client and helped us build a more concrete idea as to what to do. And so from there, we had to do a design proposal, and all of our group, we all spent a week apart, and we all came up with solutions and met up that following Thursday. And what I found was that every person had a different idea, but we all kind of used the same, I don't know, like closing mechanism for the wheelchair. Like in order to obtain the wheelchair, we all had the same mechanism where it was like a gate. And I kind of learned that everyone's idea is important. Like when we were discussing it, there were some ideas that seemed unnecessary or kind of overwhelming. But even then, we kind of broke those down and still somehow fit it into our project now, or what do you call it, our EV3 robot now. And I don't know, that just kind of taught me that every information is valuable, whether it be radical or whether it be subtle. When it came to the actual implementations, I've learned that it's hard. Long-term projects are hard, especially when you have to deal with coding and building. There were many instances where we had to, restart our code and rebuild countless times because there were structural problems within our EV3 brick itself, or robot, where it wasn't stable. And with the code, it wasn't just operating right. Like we had to just continuously put in new variables. We had to make methods, or functions in this case. And overall, it was a very overwhelming process. However, I think the best part about it was we learned how to work as a team. And we've learned that, one, throughout the whole experience, we learned our strengths and weaknesses. Like we knew though, like we kind of broke our group into two sections where it was like the coders and the builders, so to speak. And the builders were really good at building like the robots so far. Like we had our first draft where it was just a big old blob of blocks, and it wasn't stable enough. And so they kind of took it apart and redid it, and it was by far the most like structurally balanced robot I've seen. And that's comparing it to other robots in the what do you call it, in like the other team members. And even with the coding process, it was severe, but we somehow managed to pull through. And overall, it kind of taught us that, even like, I feel like Project Spin taught us that there will be milestones, there will be times where deadlines are needed to be met, and what we have to do is work as a team together and kind of like use our knowledge to build something. Like that's what I've learned in my experience. Like the project was hard in the sense where we didn't know much, but we still had to continue. And I don't know, it just kind of taught me that there will be a lot of moments like this, and in those cases, like in the future, like there'll be a lot of moments like these in the future, but in those cases, we would have to, I don't know, like kind of work together, solve it out, and plan it out. Because from there, once we make a plan and once we set on something, we can continue and build off that plan. Especially when we're using Gantt charts, I found that it was very useful to kind of take time, break it down, and figure out what exactly it is we needed to do. And overall, that was just my experience.